start streaming, but it's not inputting from here. We are live. We're 25 seconds into our live Big Wild Year broadcast, and we're just looking at our video connection. Try to close that. And we're not getting video. So I'm not sure what I've done differently this time. Live now. 19 people watching. Delphine's going to get on the chat and we're going to see if you are able to sound but no picture. Okay, thank you. So we have audio, but this time we don't have video. It's the opposite issue to what we had last time. I have everything going the same as before.
Nice clear audio.
That's good. I think it's coming through on the proper microphone this time. I disabled my computer microphone. We are just looking at how to get the video working. The video was the easy part last time.
Take the tape off the camera.
Yeah.
Someone's funny.
Okay, well, we've got audio. I'm just not sure why we are not getting video. Look, it's hard for me to talk about the Big Wild Year and then also try and video output. It's currently active.
I'm taking questions though.
Yeah, Delphine's taking questions on the keyboard. So if you're posting it to the chat, Delphine is scrolling through and you might not get a lot of audio while I just try and figure out the video. Excuse me.
Radio.
Okay, we'll try this, but I...
Oh, I see something. I saw a flash of something.
Yeah,
Oh, it's gone though.
I think it's because I enabled the web camera on my laptop,
Oh,
and the web camera... Okay, so I've got video happening in that app. I have no video happening in this app, and I'm not getting video on here. Good morning, everybody.
Maybe you guys can try to do your live stream later tonight. Most people are working. You've been sending too many messages. What's happening? Turn them back on and restart. Oh. Rules in Ottawa about there's regulations around what they can harvest. Do we have that here? I mean, there are some things we're not supposed to pick, like trilliums, right?
Yes.
Like, but we're...
And I'm not sure if we have municipal rules. And parks have separate rules.
How long are your rations?
Okay, now we've got dueling streams uploading. I'm going to... We might have to jump off and then jump back on. Figured out. Now we're on, but we have an echo, so
Ooh!
we'll try. accent. Right now, there is sound. They got with the echo when you turned on that. Yeah, but I don't echo.
You need to turn it.
Good. Good, and you
wait.
got it. So, sorry, I'm not sure. So, I'm not sure if the video is showing right now.
I'll tell you in a sec. Sorry, babe.
Okay.
No, we're still frozen. Looks good. It's all good.
Sort of.
Hey, Jer will be back in just a second.
Oh, because my sound is on. Gotcha.
Okay, how's everyone doing?
Okay, so I can. Okay, perfect. So that was.
This isn't a far stretch.
Yeah.
No, we won't touch anything. We're good now.
Yep.
Keep the questions coming.
I'm really sorry. Give me a show. Yep. Okay. Sorry to hear about your grandfather.
Tom.
Yep.
Good.
Thanks, you too.
Touching things and cooking them up. Yes, we've both lost weight in the 2 weeks, although I think Jer lost some before we began.
Awesome. We're working. It's good.
Yeah, have you?
I lost 10 pounds before Christmas, and then from my pre-Christmas weight now, like I probably gained some over Christmas and lost some, but I'm down 4 pounds over.
And I have lost 12 pounds.
12. Holy smokes. Yeah. So we're losing. Actually, I only lost 1 pound in the last week, which I was a little bit surprised about.
Do you like making your own tools, etc., as well as living off the land? I do craft work, so some of the things that Jer and I collect go into other things. So I do leather work, quill work, and do you make any tools?
Not
Turkey
really.
call, deer call?
Yeah, well, that's true. So, yeah, I made a turkey call out of a wing bone turkey call. You make it out of the wing bones of a turkey, the ulna, the radius, and the humerus. You joint them all together, and you can make a call that works really well. And I mean, I really like maintaining my hand tools. I really like sharpening and all that kind of stuff. I made my own tip up. But I'm not as crafty as Delphine. She's super crafty.
Crafty in different ways. You made me a beautiful easel and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess we're both a little bit crafty.
We're both a little crafty.
Yeah.
Do we think the weight loss will level out? I just said yes.
Yeah.
How long was it for you last time? 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, so I did 35 days in total, but I think after 3 or 4 weeks that my weight stabilized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. So we've been eating a lot of bear meat and a lot of deer meat. We've been eating lots of dried mushrooms, lots of stewed berries. We've also been eating fiddleheads quite a bit.
We've had a couple fresh perch.
Oh yeah, some fresh perch. We're trying to
Nettle.
catch lots of fresh fish, but we're not having a lot of success right now.
Stinging nettle.
Yeah,
Fiddleheads.
wild amaranth.
Leeks.
Yeah, leeks.
Yes. Are we going to be traveling this year? Yes, we're going to travel. We have some plans to go to northern Quebec and do some fishing with a friend, and then also take a trip out to the west coast of Canada, but we will go by way of Montana and maybe Washington,
Yeah, we're going to try and work in a little bit of traveling. We've been studying and collecting wild foods probably since we were children, off and on, and in various levels of understanding or seriousness, but much, much more so in the last 3 years, I would say.
Definitely.
Yeah. A flavor of life. On your 70 acres, whereabouts are you?
Near Ottawa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In certain seasons, I would think, depending on what your 70 acres is, that if you've got hardwood bush, you would probably find like lots of wild leeks. And if you're in farm country, like there's tons of edibles, burdock, lots of the different field greens.
Yeah. And also there are some people in Ontario who are who sell wild seeds. You can kind of look them up on different forums, Facebook, or probably here on YouTube also.
Yeah.
And you could look at things that are natural to your area and seed some.
Yeah.
Like milkweed's kind of everywhere. The nettle seems to grow.
Yes. You have to be careful in like the Ottawa area though, because milkweed is considered a noxious weed under Ontario's Weed Control Act for agriculture, and the weed police can actually come and have you remove it, the same as goldenrod. If you have unkept fields of it in agricultural areas, they can have you plow it under and maintain it. Oh, you're in Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia, sorry. Huh.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Nova Scotia, but
you have seafood.
yeah, get to the coast. Hello from Cambodia. That's a long ways away.
Yeah.
Yes, Ross, the time you spend outdoors does influence how much you actually see, and then once you learn a plant, it's like you wonder how you never spotted it before. You realize it's everywhere. It's growing in ditches, it's growing in your garden, it grows out of your driveway.
It overtakes your brain. I've noticed even when I watch movies now, when they're showing scenery, I'm picking out plants.
Yeah. And Malaysia. Hello from Malaysia. And Honduras. Wow. There's people tuned in from all over. I guess maybe this is a better time of day for live streaming to other parts.
Moving to Canada. Oh, I hope it goes well for you. It's a great place. Was it the love of foraging that brought you all together?
Blueberries. The love of picking blueberries.
Yeah, blueberries definitely brought us together.
Hello from Holland.
Any tips for a beginner? You just really have to read your book and then just go out and really look for it. It's nice too. There are a lot of online resources that will show photographs of plants in various stages of growth. So sometimes they're really easy to identify when they're just starting, or sometimes when they've gone to seed, and so that makes it a lot easier. So out and about, look at different pictures.
Yeah, and I don't know about Holland, but people have told me that in different parts of Europe there are people that you can bring your mushrooms to, because there's such a bigger mushroom culture in Europe, and people will verify that you've picked edible mushrooms, and those same people might know something about plants as well. But getting into like finding somebody who's offering a course, or finding an old person who's been doing it and hasn't killed themselves yet, those are really good resources.
Yes, live resources are
live
better.
Resources are better than dead. Although one of my
Unless they've written a book.
favorite wild food authors is Yul Gibbons, who is no longer alive, and he has excellent books for seafood. He has excellent books for tropical foods, and for North American wild edibles. I think he spent time in Tennessee and elsewhere. He's traveled around North America, and he has really, really good books. They don't teach you how to identify the plant, but they give lots of great information about how he collects it and how he cooks it. And each plant is a story, so it's like a chapter, and so you absorb so much more from a book like that.
And any other books, even medicinal. Well, we showed some on the live stream last night. I have a pile beside me.
Yeah.
Like,
another one from Nova Scotia. 4-night survival trip in April. Might be a chilly time of day, or a chilly time of year for that, but you never know. So here's one of Delphine's reference books, Edible Wild Plants. This is a North American guide.
That's
Oh yeah, Samuel Thayer, who's my favorite living wild food author. He has 3 books out now: Incredible Wild Edibles, Nature's Garden, and The Forager's Harvest. He has his own website. I think it's called foragersharvest.com, and you can order directly from his website.
That's a pretty common and easy to
Yeah.
find book.
Yeah, this one, Canadian gas stations often carry this in their book section, among other guides, but this is a great one for Canada. A good quick reference guide.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking forward to fishing smelts in April.
Another popular one.
Yep. The Boreal Herbal.
And then the rest of these are all just on identifying all of the wild flowers and plants and trees and
Yeah.
shrubs and ferns. Yeah, you just have to really review them
Yeah.
fairly often. And then
Yep.
you start to recognize them. And the first few times it happens, you kind of feel like a superhero or
Yeah.
something. Like, it's pretty amazing to go out and recognize what or find and recognize what you're looking for.
Yeah.
We do have wild rice in Ontario. It's actually being grown and harvested in a lot of traditional First Nation territories. But that's theirs
Yeah.
usually. So I don't know. There are a lot of other accessible places, but
Yeah. And
we've been on the lookout.
Yeah, I've tried to find it in places that traditionally had it, and unless somebody's maintaining it, it seems like it doesn't always perpetuate itself very well.
No, it definitely does well when it's being harvested, right? Because it's
Yeah.
being reseeded.
Yeah, and because there's been so much water level control and management in Ontario, I think that has impacted wild rice as well.
Have you noticed any changes with the climate, new edibles that weren't around when you were kids? There are more invasive species maybe here now,
Yeah.
or growing more.
Yeah.
You know, we find a lot, like even on my street, there's a whole lot full of Japanese knotweed, and there's another one full of wild garlic,
Yeah.
the garlic weed. So
What's that one with the pink flowers? Like, it seems like.
yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but it's not.
Is it a type of a touch-me-not? Is it
It
related?
looks like it,
Yeah.
but I don't remember what it's called. I have it in another.
Yeah.
Ontario's put out a little booklet about invasive species, and it's in that, but I'm not sure
Yes.
where it is.
The Ontario government has a good invasive species awareness program as well. Website with lots of information about invasives.
What kind of fishes can you find in Canada?
Ooh, all of them. So I'm not sure where you're from asking the question about the kinds of fishes, but I guess the common ones that people are catching right now in the winter, we're ice fishing. People are looking for walleye, they're looking for pike, they're looking for perch, whitefish, and then all the trout species. We have lake trout, rainbow trout, speckled trout in our area. There's a couple of experimental lakes being stocked with brown trout, although brown trout don't naturally live in our zone, I would say.
And then we're going smelt fishing in the spring,
Yes.
and salmon fishing maybe on the island
Yeah.
in this later on.
Yeah, so if you don't know what smelts are, they're a small fish, but in the spring they move in from the lakes. They come to the creeks and rivers to spawn in huge abundance, and so you can catch them at a certain time. You can net. You're allowed to net them in Ontario. You can catch hundreds of pounds of them on a good night, and we're hoping to get a moderate amount of them.
Yes. We have thought about publishing a recipe book. I bought a beautiful little empty book that we're going to put all of our recipes into, and hopefully some of the stories that go along with them about where we found them, how we found them,
Yeah,
and that kind of thing.
we are doing
Thank
some
you for
writing.
the answer about fishes.
You're welcome. Pickerel.
Pickerel.
It's commonly known as walleye, and around here people call them pickerel. I call them pickerel because I grew up calling them pickerel, but if you look up information about them, they're known as walleye. A pickerel is actually technically a different kind of a fish that is elsewhere.
How often is wild food on the menu? Right now, it is the menu.
Yeah.
Wild food is all we're eating right now. Hello, Spain. I actually only
Yeah, so everybody else calls them walleye basically in North America, the pickerel. You're right. Pickerel are
Yeah.
like mini pike or a grass pike or a grass pickerel. They're a different fish.
So I'm gonna eat a ton of smelts. Yeah, they're so delicious.
Yeah, we tried ice fishing for smelts last spring on the late ice, and we did not have any luck. Although I've watched a guy on YouTube fishing them really successfully, just like catching a few dozen at a time there with really small hooks and little grub baits or pieces of minnow and so on.
And to be fair, it was a lovely spring day, but it was minus 30 degrees Celsius when we went out.
Was it that day?
It was
cold.
so cold.
Yeah. And I mean, you're really just playing around, I think, if you're ice fishing for smelts, because you can go out and if you hit them at the right time, you can scoop up a couple hundred in one scoop.
Our children are not doing the big wild year with us.
No.
But your kids are doing a little, like giving up. Is it refined sugar?
Refined sugar. Yeah, they're giving up refined sugar for the year. I have one bag left in my house, and so they're rationing it out, and then they're just using honey and maple syrup.
And we feed the children well. Like my kids' favorite meals are like broiled salmon with broccoli and rice.
Yeah.
And
we're not really just feeding them hot dogs and craft dinner.
They eat very well all the time. So, and actually, that's the one really hard thing right now. Is I love to make good meals for the kids, and it's so tempting to just give a little taste.
Yes.
And I can't. So I'm just going by my kid recipe memory to make sure that they're getting the same tasty food that they always have had. So that's a little tricky.
The hardest thing I've done in the last 2 weeks is I did a roast chicken for my kids, and they don't eat the skin. And my favorite food in the world, I think, is actually crispy roast chicken skin. And I put it in my wood fire. So I know I can do the whole year because I passed up the chicken skin. Although, maybe 6 months in, it'll be harder to do so. But so that's been tricky, cooking things for the kids. I baked them a banana bread the other day, and I didn't have any of it. So they're eating well.
Someone used canned corn. Is that for the smelts, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm also trying to find ramps. Yes. Yeah, you should be able to find them. That's in Nova Scotia, maybe.
Yeah, I think they're there.
And also just remember when you're picking them, don't take all the bulbs. Yeah. But you can pick like a leaf off every plant, and it has exactly the same flavor. They dry really nicely.
Yeah.
When they dry, they become a little bit sweeter, which is a really nice flavoring for cooking with.
And someone had a question about pickled leeks, what spices we use when pickling leeks. But we're not eating pickled leeks this year because we haven't yet made our own vinegar.
Yeah, so if we have vinegar before May rolls around, April, May, we will. Yeah. But otherwise, we've just, we boiled them and froze them, blanched them and froze them. But otherwise, just regular kind of pickling spices. Yeah. Nothing fancy.
Yeah, I think we literally just bought a little bag of pickling spice from the grocery store and put in the amount you're supposed to put in.
I took out a few things that I thought were a bit much, but otherwise they're good. And you can add hotter spices to it, whatever your favorite pickling spice is.
Yeah. Every kind of animal skin is fantastic. Yeah, I think I'm on board with that. Drassilisk.
Do we have enough supplies? Yes, I think we do. I was extremely nervous the last week going in. I was almost in panic mode thinking that it just...
Yeah, before we shot our video, the wild food horde.
Yeah, but spreading it all out, taking a look at it, counting up all the things I'd measured out, really put my mind at ease. Yeah. We have enough food to get us through until when things are growing again.
Yeah, and I'll feel better about it if we start to really catch more fish because we haven't had good success. We've only been out 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. But once we start catching more fresh fish, then it'll feel like we'll be fine.
Yes. And I had a lovely discovery last night in my freezer. I found 3 pickerel.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Walleye
Free
that
walleye
we
that we had set aside.
yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Replacing our coffee. Oh, the coffee. That was a bit of a hardship for me, as I knew it would be. I've quit coffee a few times, and I've suffered with migraines since I was like really little, and so I knew I was going to get a doozy, and it lasted until the I think it was the 11th. So I had 11
days of coffee withdrawal.
migraine. Yeah, that was. So for now, our morning drink, yes, we're using dandelion root powder, but we're also using a lot of floral teas.
Yeah.
And fir trees.
Yep.
Cedar. Yeah.
Yep.
How often do you go out and pick and catch to keep? Well, the freezers are full from 2 springs, 2 summers, and 2 falls that have passed. And in that time, I was in school and working and mothering, and you're working full time and doing other things. So as often as we could.
Yeah.
I think most of our...
Yeah, whenever there's a hunting season or a fishing season, we're basically out hunting and fishing.
Yeah, as often as we can. Do you have any specific concerns? Well, in the 2 years that we've been preparing, I think it definitely came up, but we've done a lot of reading and learning about micronutrients and things like omega fatty acids.
Yeah. Wild food is full of those things.
Yeah. And the other thing is we're going to send some samples of things away to be tested.
Yeah.
For their nutritional content, so that we know definitively what we're eating.
Yes. And there was a question about blood work. So we have done blood work before Christmas, and we have more blood work coming. So we will have comparative results through the year. So, most of my blood work was normal, but I was high on glucose, and it looked like my cholesterol was fairly high. And I'll be interested to see, by the time I do more blood work, it'll be like a month in to see if there's been a change in that.
Yeah, well, you already noticed that your blood pressure dropped with that weight loss, I think.
Yes.
So that's good. What about meds? Yeah, so we are going to, if we need medication, we would take medication. Neither Jer or I are on any medication.
Well, I take nasal steroid spray.
Oh, yes.
And so I will continue to do that unless my sinuses just clear right up on this new diet, which I've been crossing my fingers for and hoping, but it hasn't happened just yet.
It also is cold season, I think. It makes it worse.
Yes, we will be sugaring this season like crazy. So we do have maple syrup. I would say you're going through maple syrup about as fast as you thought you would, and I am going through not quite as fast as I thought I would.
Okay, except that he has had a lot of meals here.
Yeah.
So, and teas and everything else. So a lot of my maple syrup usage is also
my maple syrup usage. Yeah, but we have enough to get us to the next maple syrup season, and we're hoping to have some big news about maple syruping and some videos and some recipes as we get into that season, which will be around March.
Yeah. And maple syrup is, like going in, we knew it was going to be like one of our staples. Just because it has medicinal quality, but it's got tons of calories, and it makes everything taste great.
Very low glycemic.
Yeah.
But lots of extra nutrients in it. Dandelion powder.
It's roasted and pulverized.
Yeah.
Ground up.
Yeah. So we clean the roots, dry them in the oven, and then put them through basically a blender until they're a powder. Or not dry them in the oven, but roast them in the oven.
Keith is questioning about, are we doing it ourselves or working? So yes, we're providing all of our own wild foods. We've had so many offers, so many generous people offering us wild food. Yeah, and, which is really great. It's really...
We're mostly saying no.
It's really heartwarming. And we are mostly saying no. The one thing that we've thought about, can I pull out the salt? So when Jared was in Grenada last year, we got this much salt, which is not a lot. we haven't really been missing it. And there's
No.
a sodium content in all of the food we're eating, which
Yeah.
sort of comes up to your daily requirement as far as we know. But for flavoring and then for pickling some things a little further on,
Yeah.
we want some more. So you're going away again.
Yeah.
And we'll get more salt.
Yeah.
But it is the one thing I'm considering trading for. I have a sister out on the East Coast, and she does. I haven't asked her yet. So
Oh, yeah.
anyway,
Surprise!
she might be interested to help us with that, and in return, I will take some of the items that we have foraged for crafts,
Yeah.
and make her something as a trade. Yes, his hair looks awesome, Law.
Oh, thanks. What do we replace dairy with? Nothing. No
We
dairy.
don't. No dairy.
Yeah. Did we get? Someone asked about our thoughts on chaga and Labrador tea.
Okay.
So chaga is, like all things, are kind of medicinal. So we wouldn't use it on a daily basis, but we might use it as a flavor.
Hmm. And it's good to have, like when we were making our teas, we put all our ingredients in, add the hot water, let it steep. And chaga in particular, especially if it's kind of still chunky, if you don't grind it up, you can reuse it a few times.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not something you want to OD on. There have been a lot of studies on like what it can do to cells in the body. You can look that up, and like any other medicine that's working on specific parts of your system, you wouldn't want to be taking it all the time, whether that's Tylenol or whether that's chaga.
Yeah. And Labrador tea I use sparingly, so I only use a few leaves at a time if I'm making a big pot of tea.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sometimes have like laid a couple leaves down on a bear roast or a venison roast for a spice or a flavor. I don't know if my palate can even detect it, but seems like the thing to do.
Would your salt be the same as table salt? No, it's sea salt.
Yeah.
So most table salt is like iodized.
Like a refined salt.
Yeah.
Horseradish does grow in Canada. It can grow in our area. You can grow it in your garden. But we would not find it growing wild, I don't think.
Oh, and the other thing about chaga, so someone's like, they would trade anything for it, or people go out and they're just bumping it off every tree. Like this will probably last us the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
we don't need a ton of it.
You don't need a ton of it.
Yes, to catch a deer and make leather. And there was an earlier question about if we're keeping the skins of the animals. So we generally are. We have bear skins, deer skins, raccoon skins. Those are the main big things that we've been collecting. We'll probably have some squirrel hides, and we will.
Bunnies.
When we have time, we'll work at tanning all those guys as well, or sending them away to be tanned. I'll trade anything for chaga. I don't know if it grows in your area, Joy. Sea salt actually has less sodium than table salt. I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
A year of wild clothing. Not this year.
No, a few pieces maybe.
Yeah.
Do you use the black part? No. Although, if a piece fell in it, I'm not taking it out.
No, but you
I don't know if
mostly
you can
just
see
take the rind off and then,
Yeah.
yeah. Flavor of life. Yeah, I think it grows in, you're in Nova Scotia, right? So on
There's
white
lots of-
birches and
yeah.
yellow birches, I would think that you would find quite a bit of chaga on those trees in the right areas.
Oh. The bear is not gamey. We haven't, maybe we're cooking it really well. The first night that we had it at your place, the rib with the, honestly, it tasted just like beef.
Yeah. I think it
Mhm.
depends on how much of the fat you trim off. Like, I think maybe the fat carries flavors more than the meat carries flavors with bear.
Mm.
And a lot of people describe it as being sweet.
Maybe that's why I
is-
enjoyed it.
It is kind of stringy, right? Like different meats have different textures.
I
don't
still
know.
found it quite similar to.
Yeah, to beef.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was great.
Yeah, I like bear, although I kind of overdid it the first 2 weeks, and I'm ready to
Yeah,
take
move
a
away
break on
from
bear
it.
for a little bit. And I do have quite a bit of it in the freezer, so or mix it up. Someone suggested I try grinding
Yeah.
some goose meat or something with the bear meat to make
I think
little
that would be
burgers.
delicious.
That'd be good.
Would you use anything to replace toothpaste? Oh, people use lots of things to replace toothpaste, but we're not.
No.
Our hygiene routines are staying the same, but
Yeah.
our diets are changing.
Yeah.
So we will still be using our regular products.
Regular toothpaste. What is it? People get silica and then they mix it with like peppermint oil and stuff, charcoal. Okay.
Yeah.
To make their own toothpaste. I've seen people even just like scrubbing their teeth with grass because it's a little bit fibrous and I don't know. You end up with green teeth for a little while after that, but.
What would you consider to be our greatest resource?
Like the best bang for the buck?
Well, we did well with a particular oak tree. That was really nice.
Yeah.
After we were hunting around and around. I actually I had a really good spot for picking acorns, but so did a nice big bear.
Yeah.
I chased him off one day, and I did get quite a few from that spot. But then we found a great tree and collected. How many pounds that day? It was like 40 something.
40 pounds from the one tree.
Which was really nice.
The bear was really good bang for the buck. Like that was a really big return. Roadkill is a really big return because you put zero effort into it. You just happen to spot it, and if it works out, we got a deer that way, and so we have 3/4 of a deer in the freezer just because we had the time to stop and take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Leeks are a good return on investment because you find them in a big abundance. Berries in a good year. The blueberries are good. The raspberries are good. Strawberries are a little more work, but they're worth it for the flavor, I would say.
I think raspberries are more work. I would prefer those too.
Yeah.
I find picking strawberries, especially because I have wild ones growing in my yard, is like pretty easy. I've got a lot of them, so that's good.
And the burdock root was actually pretty fast, and the dandelion root in a good area. The roots are, and the Jerusalem artichokes. Those are all things that we were able to gather, like quite a bit of them, in a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Even the nettles.
Oh my God, the nettles! Yeah, if you find a stand of them. Honestly, it's like all the nettles you would ever eat in a year. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's some things like we were picking some grass seeds and they were like, they happened to be there so we picked them, but I think if we'd spent the day looking for them, it may or may not have been worth it. Yeah,
when we find a good spot with the nodding sedge, also it's so quick and easy to pick if you've got a lot of them.
Yeah. But then there's the other sedge with it has a bigger paper but a smaller seed, I think, and it's not really worth picking.
Nothing wrong with roadkill. Nope.
Yes, about the acorns. I've read about their nutritional content, and I don't know if you could survive just on the acorns if they would be nutritionally complete, but they do have a lot of calories and a lot of
be an interesting study to read.
Yeah.
We have not made any jerky yet, but I think we will at some point.
Yes. Well, yeah, and a lot of those things like freezing is really convenient and ideal, but if our freezers were full, then we had extra food, we would go to making jerky
and smoking
canning
things.
Smoking stuff.
Yeah,
but right now it's mostly just been shoving stuff in the freezer.
In retrospect, already just in these first couple of weeks, like although we tried, we just ran out of time. Last year's schedule was way too hectic, but if we'd had some luck with getting whitefish and smoking them, like right now to break up the heavy meats would have been
that would have been really awesome.
Really great.
Yeah, I think acorns were a staple anywhere that oak trees grow, and then because they were replaced by more convenient crops, they kind of have been neglected because you have to process them, where other things you can just grind them or parch them. But we like the acorn flour
very much.
Maybe because we don't have a lot of great alternatives to it, but
but even in years past, like we would cut it into flour, like to half or better of a recipe.
Bake cakes and stuff with it.
And it's delicious.
Pancakes,
Really, really good.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for joining.
Yeah,
That's,
wood pigeon.
have a good day at work.
Any more trips with Chris? Yes, I will be out with Chris. We do live pretty far apart, so it's hard for us to coordinate. But I will be doing some ice fishing in the next couple of months, and then looking at something in all seasons anyway. For
Running
sure.
bird. Yeah, there is a lot of information online too about how to process acorns. It is something that a lot of people have tried. So you should be able to easily find information on how to process them, and you can eat them.
Yeah.
Just you can't pick them up, crack them open, and eat them. There's some work to be done in order to do that.
We have heard about acorn beer. Delphine found a good resource for that. And then there was a good question about fermenting. So we have some apple cider vinegar fermenting right now. We have choke cherry wine fermenting right now, and hard apple cider fermenting right now. And we also tried fermenting with some other things.
And I accidentally have some grape juice fermenting in my fridge from when you tried your press that first time, and a jar of it went in, and it's pop.
Yeah,
I think
something's going on in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's right. We have another batch of grape juice that's going into vinegar right now. So it's in a really cool cupboard, so I think it's going pretty slow, but we're going to check in again on it soon.
Do you have any concerns about
ergot or fungal toxicity with items you have stored? No, I know ergot grows in grain crops, but I don't know if it grows in any of the wild crops that we've been harvesting.
I found some information when I was harvesting the common clover, those big tall plants with the little white flowers on.
Yep.
That said to be careful drying them because they can get something on them.
Okay.
Anyway, mine were dried carefully, so I didn't pay much more attention to that, and we have some of that.
Yeah, the cider was done with wild yeast, and the choke cherries also. Do we incorporate meat into every meal? Yes. I would say the bulk of what I'm eating right now is meat. Well, if we were to pick together as a fun activity, berry picking and mushroom hunting are really great, and those are things that the kids often get on board with as well.
Yeah, and in most areas you can find somebody, especially for mushrooms, that will take you out on mushroom walks and help you identify and pick mushrooms, because it might not be a great family activity if you all get sick.
Yeah. Yes, I am still at Canador. Bad Brad 333. So we're not too hard to find.
Sumac spice, yes, we have picked a lot of sumac, and we use it in quite a few recipes. It's got a great acidic, lemony kind of flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, walnuts.
Yes.
There are some on my table.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really interested in trying some different brews from. I don't think I brought that book out, but the fermenting. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, let me grab it.
Sure. Yeah, and who was it? A Flavor for Life. Like I actually had a reminder pop up on my phone which said, "Make oak leaf wine," and then I kind of missed my chance to do it. So I'd be interested to hear how that works for you, and whether it's just the oak leaves that you're adding, or if the oak leaves are just contributing a tannin and you're still making your wine with grapes, because I wasn't quite sure.
Okay, here it is. The Wild Crafting Brewer.
While you're talking about that, I'm gonna have a quick peek.
Okay. So we picked up this book, and I follow him on Instagram, and he's always posting really great recipes that he just picks up from his local area, and we're really interested to try some of that. Barks, twigs, stems, seeds, spices, leaves, roots. And the other thing, I have a couple of branches of it around somewhere, but we wanted to try and make some root beer, that kind of thing, like a root beer drink. Your family makes wine. Are bugs on the menu? Yeah, bugs are on the menu. we have a couple little containers. So when we picked all of those acorns and set them out to dry, quite a few of them will pop out weevil. So we collected them as they were coming out, and they've gone into the freezer. Not in any huge quantity, because we were trying very carefully to pick acorns that looked good with the, when you take the cap off, or when that little ring around has to look a certain way. So, but we still ended up with a fair amount of weevils, and they're in the freezer for eating. We might try some grasshoppers, and we may also try crickets. We have in the past had ant eggs, which is fun. But again, those are not in any kind of quantity. Sumac for iced tea, yes. We have done some of that as well. Yeah, I've used it on different fish, not particularly on trout, but I've used it a few times with catfish, and it was excellent. But I really like catfish, so pretty sure anything would taste good with it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there are a lot of great mushroom pics that I see online from the West Coast. Do you have a video up about wild yeast? No, we don't. At present, we are just trying to make a few things, and then when those experiments have concluded, they'll probably be in a video. Oh, someone made root beer. Good. I'm glad it turned out well. How much has our health improved? Well, we're both pretty healthy to begin with. I know Jer's blood pressure was on the high end of normal to high, and it's down already in just a couple of weeks. But in general, a 10 to 20 pound weight loss will improve most people's blood pressure. And we feel good. We have lots of energy. We don't have any cravings. Jer can talk about it when he gets back, but I know sometimes he's tired because he doesn't sleep well because of his sinus issues, but overall, we are feeling good. Happy hour. Did you? Here's a question as you come back
Wapato, so I call that the arrowroot plant, and I have tried harvesting that. We don't have the actual Wapato here, which is a much bigger variety that's maybe more worthwhile harvesting. We have a smaller one, and I have had no luck. I've tried just reaching in and working them loose with my hands, and I don't know if I've done it in the wrong season, but it hasn't worked out for me. LDL particle size and markers like ALT. I'm not sure what those are, Running Bird. LDL cholesterol. We didn't measure particle size on that.
No, but you had your cholesterol, LDL, HDL.
Yep, and total.
Yeah.
For yeast, what I do is we just get yeasty plant material, and we can start a culture. So you can add a little bit of maple syrup for sugar, and you can use things even just like blueberries, or you can scrape yeast off of or add juniper berries. Aspen bark has a lot of wild yeast on it, and then so those will multiply into your starter, and then you can add that to your ferment. And the Campton tablets are really to I think that helps to clarify your wine, and so what I do is I just would re-rack it and wait for it to settle just naturally. But maybe I end up with a naturally cloudier wine by not using Campton tablets.
What does the acorn taste like?
It's like mildly nutty.
It is mildly nutty. It has a I don't know how to describe the flavor compared to something else. It is just mildly nutty.
Yeah.
Not like hazelnut or almond.
No, it's not a
but
strong
it's,
flavor.
It's just a warm, kind of earthy,
Yeah.
woody kind of nut. It's nice.
We used to drink coffee, Rivera, but we do not now for 15 days. Did you talk about the Big Wild Year Facebook page?
Not yet. There's going to be a Big Wild Year Facebook page.
Yeah.
So I just had to change the setting on a few posts. The page is set up. I have a few more to move over to it, and then it will be, like sometime today, it'll be on the go.
So rather than swamp our personal Facebook accounts with Big Wild Year stuff, we'll be able to post into that group, and it's also a little more publicly accessible to people. A liver enzyme, but it can also indicate fatty liver. Oh, interesting.
Oh, do we intend on tending a wild garden, so to speak? Yeah, we do. I have brought some seeds home. And so at the end of February, a few of them will go into a wet towel in my fridge. And then I'll try planting them. I have a lot of really great things that grow in my yard already. And when we're out at spots that we have found that have food, we have done a few little things to make sure, well, like I pulled some stuff away from some things just so it keeps growing. But normally we don't have to do too much. And I live in town, so I have a lot of weeds in my yard that no one seems to fuss about too much. So if I added a few more varieties, I don't think it would be problematic. And also I'm looking at getting bees this year. So I would like them to have a good variety of
And by
flowers.
harvesting sustainably and responsibly, you are in a way tending to them that way.
Yeah, we're not going out and decimating any one spot.
No,
yeah.
but we're not really doing any permaculture right now.
Actually, I guess we are.
Conifers, not as disinfectants, but in tea. But I also was reading that they are good for steaming, and I'm going to try that for my sinuses. Someone asked about cattail root, Neil Dalton. So we kind of missed the boat. We talked about it quite a bit, and we spent a lot of time chasing ducks around one day and not picking cattail root, and then we did pick we have a few somewhere.
I don't know if we ended
We
up.
might have lost them.
Yeah.
Maybe in the spring.
But definitely in the spring, we'll definitely use a lot of cattail.
Fiance isn't much into the outdoors, but you don't have to be to kind of share your interest in the outdoors, or a lot of, if you're foraging, a lot of the outdoors then happens in your kitchen and in the way that you build meals and things. So there are lots of ways to include other people, even if they're not. And you can also just enjoy it as your own hobby if you don't share that hobby, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky because you don't want to drag somebody, like if I was passionate about model trains, it would be kind of cruel to drag you into that.
Well, you could.
And expect you to,
And,
right?
Yeah.
If it just isn't your thing, it isn't your thing.
If this year is a success, when this year is a success, will you guys be turning back to commercial diet? We're enjoying this endeavor quite a bit so far. We have, in the past, had wild food in our diet. We're enjoying its totality at present, and I think we will extend it. Like, we will keep up. But I want tomatoes, so for sure
And
it
I
won't
want to
be.
eat a burger with like a real bun sometimes.
It won't always. It won't be all wild food going into 2020. But I think we'll probably still keep doing this. Like, someone asked about, a friend of mine that messaged me asked, that it's so much work to go and do it, and it is, but all of that work is still a day spent out in the bush, right? So it's got health benefits and it feels great. Every day we go out looking for something, even when we're not successful. It really does something for you mentally and physically, and just
Yeah.
it's a win all around.
We'll never stop hunting and fishing and gathering. It's just, whether we would...
What percentage
What
might
percentage,
be in our diet?
yeah. Are we going to drop to like 90, 50?
80?
Yeah. And we might, make an intention about that at the end of this year, so we'll see.
It really makes you more mindful about your food also, like what you're eating. Jared mentioned it in one of his Facebook posts, but I feel it all the time when I'm cooking, is that the memories are there from whatever I'm working with. It's like you get to experience everything a couple of times over, and that feels really good. So I remember looking up and how to identify nettle a couple years ago, and then I spent hours walking around finding places, and that joy that I experienced when I found it, identified it, harvested it, realized that it does taste great, realized I can make cordage out of it.
Yeah.
Like it's all, and all of that, every bite has that feeling accompanying it, right?
Yeah.
It just feels really great to keep reliving all of that with every bite. And you would never get that from going to the grocery store, and
No.
you don't know where that food's coming
Yeah.
from, but we know every step of the way.
Yeah, you
where
feel that
this
big
meal
connection
has,
and the memories. And
where this meal has come
Yeah.
from, which is, well, priceless, really. It's amazing.
yeah. Do we both feel better? I felt probably a little bit worse at first, and then better, much better now, and sharper now too. So I had a lot of kind of like lack of focus for the first week, and I kind of crashed on my desk at work a few times. I had to have power naps, and that might have been just the caffeine withdrawal. That might have just happened anyway. But we feel good.
Yeah, I feel good. Do you bring food to work?
Yes, and I'm a bit of a spectacle sometimes. So people come by and they're like, "What's on the menu today? What are you eating?" And it's almost always stew, or a thermos of wild tea with maple syrup. So I'm keeping it fairly simple at work.
Mm-hmm.
Just something that's easy to heat up in the microwave
And I usually take tea to work, and I have taken berries sometimes. I generally work night shift as a nurse, so on my 12-hour shifts, I mostly take tea because I've had a meal before I go into work, and I'm just not eating through a night shift, regardless of whether it was before we started or now. The big shift is that I don't drink coffee at work.
Yeah.
And actually, I was really worried about it, and it's fine. There's no difference. I have the same amount of energy. I thought I have a lot of trouble sleeping after a night shift. So I usually get home, and I'm in bed like between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning, and I'm usually up around 11:30.
Yeah.
Sometimes 12:30.
Yeah.
And I thought if I wasn't drinking caffeine that might change, but it hasn't. That's just me.
No, and my sleep's been pretty crummy, but that's because of my sinuses. But I otherwise am not sleepy in the day, typically, as I sometimes am. I feel like my energy's been more steady through the day.
The other good thing about this year, someone's just talking about like as a human skill and being part of life, and it's nice. Like we've done it in the past. We've both posted pictures and videos where we've done things with the children. They've gone out, like when we did our little talks, and they follow us around. And my son watched the video about you making your, they go out and they try these things, which is really great.
Yeah.
So they're learning, and so I'm glad that that's going to be part of their life too.
Yeah, good plants for starting, Jacob. That you probably have just plants growing in your yard that are really easy to start with. Like you can't really, it's hard to mistake dandelion.
Daisies.
Daisies are easy. Picking berries is usually really straightforward. Like a blueberry patch or a raspberry patch usually don't have toxic berries mixed in, but you should keep an eye out for the nightshades, deadly nightshade, and sometimes some of the vines sometimes have berries that look like they should be good, but they're not.
And the other thing to watch out for when you're out looking for things is poison ivy.
Yes.
I took Jared to one of my favorite spots for picking things, and he said, "Oh wow, oh my gosh, there's so much poison ivy." And I said, "Where?
What?
Oh, there is."
It was everywhere. Like Dolphy
what?
was crawling around in it, and like, I'm sure you were covered in.
Yeah, I'm
Poison
one of the
ivy.
lucky people that doesn't
react apparently.
No, so it's never been on my radar to watch for, but make sure you watch for it.
Yeah.
What's good tea to sleep better? Well, some people, what do they use?
Valerian,
chamomile.
Yeah. We do have some chamomile, wild chamomile. I don't know if we've really had any of it yet.
No, and I've never been a big sleeper, so I don't need things to help me sleep. You guys both rock. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, wild sarsaparilla, when I was a kid, I used to confuse that for poison ivy. I used to think it was wild ginseng, and then eventually figured out.
I'm going to take a break.
Okay. Oh, it's all me now. Cool. It is, and it's a good one for flavor, but I haven't used that one yet. Wild sarsaparilla. Yes, I think it is a lot healthier, Joy. And it's interesting now, like, I'll probably try and do some grocery bill comparisons month over month from last year to this year, just on how much my grocery shopping has changed, because of course I still grocery shop for my children, but now all I think about is like what they're going to eat and what's good for them to eat, and I think less about like what am I going to eat and what's good for me to eat. I don't buy butter tarts anymore, or chips, or a bottle of wine. Like, those things are off my grocery bill, where before they would have been there all the time. Any fats as skincare products? Like, we're still actually using probably commercial lotions for skincare. So we're not intending to use any of our wild fats for skincare. But I think when you're eating those fats, like, they're still going to go to your skin anyway from the inside out. It's just people are in the habit of putting them on the outside and then they go in. So, hopefully we have enough of those good fats in our diet to, sure, please, keep our skin healthy. Raspberry leaves make a good tea. Did we collect raspberry leaves this year? I might have one little pot of them somewhere.
I think we have a small amount set by, but I'm not sure where they are.
Yeah, and sarsaparilla root I think was used for root beer flavoring traditionally.
You mentioned it a bit. I have one somewhere, but I don't think I have.
Do I have to pee more often? I do and do not. I think I've been drinking way more water, but I don't really know where it goes because I don't know that I've really been peeing more often. But maybe I've just replaced all my coffee with water. So my water intake is up, but my overall fluid intake maybe is about the same.
Snackage. There's no desire for snacks.
I have snack attacks.
Do you?
Yeah, so then I just eat a meal, like a bowl of stew or something.
Secrets.
So I hot leached some acorns and they are done. And they didn't go to mush when you hot leach them. They kind of stay as a whole kernel if you start them as whole kernels. And I want to do candied nuts with them, and I thought to do that by roasting them with a little bit of maple syrup or maple sugar and maybe throwing in some primrose seeds as like a coating. And then those would be for snacking, but I also think then that I would just eat too many of them. But I'm going to try it. If it works out, I'll do a little video or I'll post some pictures about it. Another wilderness challenge with the Wooded Beardsman. We were talking about doing one this spring or summer maybe. It just depends because the Big Wild Year it already is a wilderness living challenge in some ways. So if I do one with Chris, like he'll be doing a wilderness living challenge and I'll just still be doing what I've been doing since January 1st. But I always learn and try new things on those trips, and they're fantastic to do. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully fitting one in this year. We do not have kangaroos in North America, so we have no opportunity to try kangaroo meat, but if we ever found ourselves in Australia, I would try it in a second.
We have a good friend that feeds her dog kangaroo meat.
We can get it at the pet food store then. And I think we've been an hour now, a little bit extra if you count all the time it took us to get the audio and video working. So I want to say thanks again to Nico for sorting us out again. And I think we're sorted out now. We should be able to do this without any hand holding on a regular basis. So hopefully all the softwares and the hardwares are matching up. And we will wrap it up soon. Hey Flexi, I Bill Steer's a friend of mine, and he I do teach at next door to Nipsing at Canadore, and ran into Bill Steer at the grocery store the other day, and I heard him on the radio this morning on his regular program. He's a fantastic guy. Anything we want to finish up with? So
I have a funny anecdote, maybe.
Oh, sure.
About a big change that's happened.
Yeah.
Is our text messages. What might have been a saucy text message before is now actually a saucy message. Like, it's just recipes for things that we want to make, and that's kind of funny.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, speaking of sauce, like I never made gravies or sauces before.
I love making gravies.
I want to make gravy. Like anytime I eat meat, I want it to have gravy with it, and I think it's because maybe venison tends to be dry on its own, and grouse tends to be dry on its own. But then you make like a really good gravy, and it's just fantastic.
It's good that you've had some tutelage over the last few years of making gravy.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, and
Thanks.
if you want to stay tuned in other ways, we do have the Big Wild Year Facebook page that will be up. Delphine's posting regularly to Instagram at Delphine Collier.
Mm-hmm.
I do have 2 videos that I'll be releasing on 2 different wild food recipes that I've done in the last 2 weeks. So those will come out in the next while, and I'll try and post stuff regularly. And now that we have figured out this live stream business, as we go through the year, maybe we'll try and do one monthly or however often it works out for us to share our adventure with you guys.
Yeah. And what about the recipe sharing thing?
Yes. How do we want to organize that?
Yeah, we haven't decided yet.
Okay.
Sorry I brought it up. But
we would like to send recipes and encourage people to also maybe try.
Yeah, I think if we would put out a
sharing.
recipe in advance of doing a live stream, and then we could all compare notes on what portion was wild, did you enjoy it, what would you change, and kind of have like a virtual family meal that way. We thought it might be nice to do something like that. So
Yep. Great. Awesome. Okay, we're going to shut it down. So thanks again for tuning in and being patient with our technological issues. And we will be back online another time.
cheers.
Cheers.